since you've been mine.
And now, 1160 AM KBDT proudly presents Life Solutions, coaching, counseling, naturopathic medicine, insights for successful living, and getting better with Ann Beal.
Welcome. We are going to share with you how to make your Easter wonderful and beautiful and just help you celebrate the coming out again. We've all been closed in, and we just want to encourage you again this week to get out. Get out. Today it's kind of rainy here.
Yeah, this beautiful spring day here, Easter day or Easter weekend, has us looking at huge cloud coverage over Dallas.
I know.
And big raindrops coming down. But you know what? That hasn't spoiled our spirit.
No, in fact, it's kind of fitting for it being the day after Passover.
Mm-hmm.
And tomorrow is Easter.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to share about flowers, resurrection, new life. And we have Marilyn Dennehey who joins us today to share all about beautiful flowers and how to easily plant them all around you this week to celebrate Jesus coming back alive and us as a country coming back alive. And if you think about it, spring means the coming back to life of plants and trees that have been dormant for winter, as well as the birth of new life in the animal world.
That's right. That's right.
Given the symbolism of new life and rebirth, it was only natural to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus at this time of year. So Marilyn Dennehey shares with us. Thank you for coming, Marilyn. We want you to share with us all about the beautiful flowers you have all over your land.
Good morning, Ann. Am I on?
You are on.
Okay, good morning. And as a matter of fact, when you called, I was Mike and I were out walking around the garden because he's still able to work, but I've been home, and of course I can't even see my grandbabies right now, so I've been spending a lot of time in the yard. And so he and I were out walking around and looking at all the the irises are blooming right now, and that was always his mother's favorite. So we were out in the garden taking a walk and looking at all the beautiful iris.
I also have Dr. Jim Slaughter here today.
Hey, everybody. It's really good to be with you today. And Marilyn, welcome again to you. It's so good. Marilyn and Mike are old friends of ours, and we're just so glad whenever we get a chance to touch base with them. And so, Marilyn, it's so good to have you on today. And we know about your yard and your beauty and your skills and your expertise when it comes to making beautiful things grow. And so we're glad to have you.
Good morning, Jim. I'm always tickled to talk gardening.
Good deal. We love
yes. And we come by your place and you have flowers everywhere. And a lot of those are perennials. Do you actually, I know your favorite flower, because you were talking about it for Easter, you talked about the iris.
Yes. You know what, Ann, if you ask me what my favorite flower is, I probably will tell you whatever is blooming right now is my favorite flower.
Yes, because you have them so much that they bloom like year round, because you have all different kinds.
We do. We actually have some of our daffodils are actually blooming by the end of January.
Good night.
And actually, I say this is the narcissus family. I don't like to call them narcissus. I prefer to call them daffodils. But I have enough of variety, and the earliest ones start blooming at the end of January. So it's really nice, at the end of it's not too long after the holidays are over, and then all of a sudden I see, the daffodils are starting to sprout.
Well, it's funny that they are from the narcissus family, because they do stand out and they're bright, and everyone sees them this time of year and it's like, wow, they're so beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I was just going to say that you're mentioning when those first come out and you see them coming up, and it is really a refreshing, exciting thing when you begin to see plants breaking through the ground for the first time and then actually budding out and blooming. We have some roses that are just going wacko right now with their blooms and blossoms and everything. And It is so beautiful and refreshing to see that happen.
Now, are those knockout roses?
No, ours aren't. No. Ours are antique roses. It's kind of funny that they're in the back, because the deer eat the roses. The deer will eat rose bushes, even the bark. I mean, even the
stems
and everything. They'll eat the whole
Really?
thing. The
Yeah.
thorns don't, I don't know. Thorns don't bother those. We have deer everywhere.
Oh, goodness.
So we wanted you to help our listeners know how they can. I know that not everyone has the acreage that you have, but you have just over the years just planted and planted and planted. And right now for Easter, we want people to get out and start planting flowers. It doesn't matter if they're
Right.
annuals and they just want to put pretty flowers out. We like to plant perennials, or I like to plant
No,
perennials.
I love perennials.
Because I want them
Yeah.
to keep coming back and not have to do it every year. But I did yesterday when I was out just trying to find some flowers to put around. I saw some beautiful annuals.
And what did you get then?
I don't know what they
Did
are.
you
In fact,
find
they're
anything?
right here behind us. Can you see them? They're like a combination.
I am on your page, but I don't see your show. I must not
You're
have
on my
clicked something.
page.
I'm on the Getting Better with Andy.
You don't see the live video. Okay, so if you want to see the video, you don't see it there.
I do.
Okay, I can't do it that way. Okay, I will check that out because you can't see it. If you can't see it, other can't see it. So just let people know out there, if you want to see the video, you can go to
Oh,
Getting
wait a
Better.
minute. I do see it now.
Oh, good.
Live. So you don't. Okay, I
Got it.
do see it. I had to click on the right thing. You have that beautiful, colorful blouse on, and Jim is wearing a
Plaid. He's
kind
got
of a
his
plaid,
Easter
so-
plaid, and I've got my Easter sweater,
Yeah.
but
You
shirt. But we
look
don't
very
quite.
Easter-like. Okay, now I'm looking behind you. I can't tell what those are, but they're beautiful.
Well, they're just a combination, and they're little bitty flowers. Like I love little teeny roses, the little mini, I don't know what you call them, but they're really small little roses, petite little things, the buds. And these are, and I just love that. I love beautiful combination potted plants, and I'll bring them home and I'll put them in, put them out. And these I'm actually going to put on the side garden just to make it beautiful. And then we have a plant. I think I'm not sure if it's a peace lily. I don't know what it is, but it's got these white flowers, and we've had that. And I'm just really wanting to encourage everyone to just get out and plant some beauty around you. You need beauty right now. People are getting bored. People are getting down. And I think that people are getting tired of being home because they're not used to that. And so we want them to know that this is a time when you're home when you can make your yard beautiful. And also being in the soil, like we talked about last week with Ron Neitzel, the Green Wizard, about how good it is for you to be outside in the sun and in the weather, but also to be in the soil.
Well, and Anne, even though we're social distancing, it's funny because you're outside. And the other day I was out working in my vegetable garden, and our neighbors who live behind us, and I've never met them before because we're all on acres.
Right.
And of course, when people are working, a lot of these people have jobs, so they're gone all day. I'm retired now, so lately I've been in the yard all day. But we got to visiting. They were out planting a magnolia tree, and we got to visiting. And I said, if you want any flowers, just let me know, or any trees. I said, right now I have a little chase tree that's in a pot. If you'd like one of those. And I thought, so it's kind of nice. It's even a chance to get out and. We were a good 30 feet apart, so we were socially distancing, but we were still connecting with other people.
Yeah, we were too in our neighborhood, but everybody's being real careful. But getting out, and it was beautiful yesterday. It was just a weirdly nice, still, calm.
It was
strange, but it was beautiful.
It was gorgeous out.
Yes,
it was. But you were talking about the little bitty, your little bitty flowers there.
Yes.
Daffodils. Even I have some daffodils that are petites, and they look like little miniature rosebuds, little miniature roses,
and they're
bloom.
really pretty.
So when you think of daffodils, you just think of the traditional. But if you're a person, of course, they have to be planted in the fall. But you get the catalogs now, and you can start looking, and there's such a variety of daffodils.
Oh, so I didn't know that. So daffodils are bulbs, is that right?
They're bulbs, and they're planted in the fall. Now, what I had to do is, and this is important for gardeners, especially if you're starting plants from seeds.
Mm-hmm.
I ordered from Amazon the little garden plant labels because I have a tendency to plant stuff and then forget what I planted where.
I know
So,
you do that.
especially if you're starting things from seeds. So I label what I've planted and stick these in the ground, and then when they come up, I'm not going to pull them out like weeds because I know that I've planted something there.
We were talking about that earlier. About the evening primrose and
I
how
love
much we all love
yes.
evening primrose. They're just a beautiful little pinkish violet flower, and but the flowers don't last too long. Meryl, I hate to admit this. I pulled so many of those.
Oh my
out.
gosh! Yes, they're my favorite.
Thinking they were just sticks in the ground. I thought, oh my! And finally, Ann said, "Those turn into beautiful flowers."
Yes,
in the spring.
he didn't know,
Don't
but
pull those
yeah,
out.
at the ranch, the whole front of the house had evening primrose, and it had come up wild, and I loved it more than anything else. And if I transplanted them, it didn't work. But that's the tough thing. They're so beautiful, but you got to know what they look like when the flowers aren't there, so that you don't accidentally pull them up.
Right.
But I do go out and pull them up, although Ron Neitzel said not to pull them up. He said to cut them off so that the roots stay in the ground, I guess, in the soil.
I don't cut them off, but Jim would pull them up.
But they eventually, I didn't, but they came back strong, though.
But they come back.
They do come back.
You guys crazy.
They're everywhere. But you have to know what they are. And you know what I did when we bought our lot? We've been in our house for 33 years, and when we moved out here, it was barren land. And there were no houses around us. And I went and got a book on wildflowers. And I learned to identify a lot of the wildflowers and now, a lot of the wildflowers people are cultivating, for their yards.
Right.
Well, and they're so pretty. We just we just got wildflower seed and put them in the ditch along the road. And they all came up and we had flowers. It was just gorgeous. The tough thing is weeds can come.
Some of them you can actually, if you're, if people are like Jim, you said you had a friend who's thinking about starting a garden. What I always think is nice is if you mix perennials with seeds.
Oh, okay.
Because like you can go to the, you can find a lot of, annuals right now if there's a lot of the things that I plant from seeds that you can buy them, like marigolds and zinnias, you don't have to start them from seeds.
Mm-hmm.
I do it just because we're on an acre and it would be impossible for me to plant annuals everywhere. So I just, I throw the seeds down.
Right.
But if you put in things if you mix them, like you can mix your echinacea, which is actually the purple, coneflower, but it doesn't come in just purple, so I call it echinacea because it's beautiful in white, it's beautiful in orange, there's like a yellow shade. If you mix things like that would come back every year, and then you could mix in your annuals with that, your I love the zinnias. Now zinnias get quite tall, but they have all the little dwarf zinnias, and those would be really pretty mixed in under the echinacea. And the Shasta daisies, the only thing that disappoints me about Shasta daisies, I love them, but they don't bloom all summer like purple coneflowers do.
Right. Well, and I love purple coneflowers. I've used those before. We have Shasta daisies out by kind of a side yard right now. And you're right. They're pretty when they're pretty, but they're not when they're not, And so we're going to have a break here in about a minute. But when we get back, Marilyn, I'd like to ask you, where do you start if it's ground zero? If someone has just a normal home, residential neighborhood type home, and they want to go out in the backyard and they want to create a flower garden, where do they start? And when we get back from the break, in about a minute, maybe we could talk a little bit about that.
And Marilyn, I also want you to share how when you walk out in your yard, in your backyard especially, how you feel close to God, because it is so beautiful, especially on this Easter weekend with all those flowers all around you.
Good point.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay. And Jim, I know that you like the evening primrose as well.
I really do. I love it, but we can't get it. It won't grow where we are.
So we're by the lake now.
We're off the air. So we're off the air right now. We're just chatting.
No. We're still on 30 seconds. The evening primrose, for us, it's interesting that we can grow so many things over there by the lake, but we can't grow the evening primrose. But still, when we walk out with all the greenery, with it being Easter, by adding flowers, it's amazing what it's done. So you guys stay right here. We want you to know how to do that as well. That when you walk out, you feel so close to God. And you can even do it today. You started like at a minute and you didn't let me the 10 seconds is when you can do the break. Talk her through what to do.
Okay.
But you started at a minute.
Yeah.
Did the music already start?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, I was just kind of.
I could hear the music. I can hear the music. That's why I thought that we were off the air.
He kind of went
threw
off on
her
me.
for a loop, I guess.
He does that
Well,
because
they were playing the music though, so I thought we were off the air too.
Okay.
So,
okay.
You know what
the music, let me tell you about that. The music starts one whole minute before break. So even though you hear the music, we still have a minute. And so that's why Jim kind of started before the music saying a minute because she had showed that. So we still had to talk until that whole thing was over. And so it can be interesting. It can be interesting. But I'm putting the clock over there, so we'll have it.
Oh, you finally got it up?
I don't know if that's the right clock.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Let me move it. I got to move it over here. There we go. Oh, amazing. Hold on. I got to move this one over there. Amazing. All right.
So do you ever recommend books online?
Do you know books? I actually was going to bring P. Allen Smith's book. P. Allen went to school with me. I almost brought his book. What book do you?
But where is he from though?
He lives in Little Rock. He's from Little Rock. He went to school with me at Hendrix.
Okay.
And he's amazing. And he has his land now, so he has planted things all over his land, and he even has chickens and things like that. But So I also have a recipe book it's just beautiful. His books come out so beautiful. But for you, just planting flowers, what book would you suggest?
Okay, I'm looking, and I just switched over on my computer to see if it's still available. This is a book that I found at Half Price Books, and it is absolutely wonderful. And it is Dale Groom's gardening guide, Texas gardening guide. And the reason I say that is that I think it's so important. There's so many beautiful gardening books out, but like some of them are for, they're like for the gardens further north. And we need stuff because Texas has its own set of problems. So if it grows well in Texas, if you want to know what does well in Texas.
Sure.
Yes, definitely. Right. Yes, we do.
But this is a book I would recommend it, and I'm looking at it. I just looked it up, and it's showing it here on thriftbooks.com that you can get for $4.69 used. Of course, you'd have to pay for the shipping on it. But
so what's the author's last name again, Marilyn?
It's Dale Groom, Groom.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that. Yeah. I've seen that.
I've heard the name. Yeah. Okay.
Texas Gardening Guide, and it is wonderful because it goes. You have that book.
I have that book.
Okay. You have that book.
Texas Gardening
You probably
Guide.
would because it goes through and it has it even shows you what's native. I mean, it even shows you the native and it shows you the perennials. And, now with people so big on xeriscaping, it's nice to go with the native plants.
So what is xeriscaping? Okay, so we're going to have to talk about that. I'm going to ask you that question again because.
Okay, let me look up the exact definition.
That's almost no yard, right?
I think it's very little watering. Yes.
Oh, well, you know how that goes. Yes, that's what they did on our place we're at now, and that's why there were no flowers. Lots of greenery, but no flowers.
Oh, it's xeriscaping.
We're gonna,
I've got to admit, it's getting better, a little better all the time.
And now here's more Getting Better with Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
Welcome back. We had fun on the break with Marilyn. If you want to see the video for the breaks, you can always go to Getting Better with Ann Beal on Facebook, and then we'll post it on YouTube, or somebody will post it on YouTube, and we'll get it there. Last week, Ron Neitzel, the Green Wizard, posted his out there. I haven't got mine out there yet. He edited it because we were having some trouble with some of the music, which they've never done before until just recently. So even though we have permission to use the song, YouTube blocks it. So it's going to have to edit it down anyway. But Marilyn, you were talking about xeriscaping because I know xeriscaping is in. And what exactly is that?
Xeriscaping is, and it's with a Z. It's actually Zeri scaping. Xeriscaping.
Oh, okay.
It's doing landscaping that reduces or eliminates the need for supplemental water, so you're not constantly having to, because like us, we're on city water, and it can get quite expensive if we have to water everything all the time.
Oh, you don't have a well out there, huh?
No, we don't have a well.
Oh gosh.
So, and I'm in the process right now. I'm in the process right now. Since I'm home here all the time, I have all these ideas. We're going to try to get a rain barrel to figure out how to save some of this rainwater that comes all at once in the spring and then not again for 3 months.
Well, yes, using rain barrels,
So,
but I didn't know that because your place is amazing how things grow all over it. And Ron Neitzel talks about not having to water much at all, and that is what that is getting your soil healthy enough where you don't have to water it all the time.
Right. Well, and when I think about when I was growing up on the farm, of course, that was in Iowa. I don't remember my parents watering a lot. We depended on the rain.
Well, and that's why I love rain barrels. Of course, you may need rain, big barrel. Put them all over your land to catch the rain.
Well, right now, I have my own little plant. I have Home Depot buckets lined up along my shed, and they're catching the rainwater. And so I've been watering with it, because when you first plant things, you have to water, even this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's so much better for the plants anyway than the water that you get out of the hose.
Yes, it is. And it's amazing how green and beautiful everything will be after a rain versus our sprinklers, And if you could, I know this might be a lot to ask, but after the show, when you get time, if you could post just some pictures of your flowers, just different flowers around your place, because they're so beautiful.
I can. I've taken a lot. We're on your site.
Yeah, just put them on.
Your
if
site?
You can post them on the video, down in the comment area, or even on my site. Either way, that would be wonderful for people to see. Because the reason you were just a regular person. You were a teacher, and now you've retired. But this land has been beautiful long before you retired, and you've just done it. You've just planted things here and there ever since you've lived there.
Yes, and mine's been kind of, because we have an acre. I'm not a master gardener by any means, but I have learned a lot from my mistakes. And I do take now, TCC has a wonderful horticulture class, and I love, of course, I'm not going to it right now because, we're social distancing, but I've gotten a lot of good tips from that.
And TCC is Tarrant County College.
Yeah, Tarrant County College.
Yes, and they have their senior program, and they have a class on horticulture, and I have thoroughly enjoyed that. As a matter of fact, this year, this isn't to do with flowers, but one of the things I've been busy with is because I have always been able to grow flowers, but I cannot grow nice vegetables for anything. I don't know why.
Oh, like your tomatoes.
Would grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, or any. And so we have been, Mike has a lot of scrap lumber, so he's been popping together some raised beds for me.
That's your husband. He's so nice to do that. Yes, and I think it's interesting. P. Allen Smith talked about tomatoes and how hard it can be. You can get beautiful plants, but no tomatoes. And so he's talked about that. And that's more of a skill I've learned by going and listening to P. Allen when he comes in town. He always is at Callaway or something like that. I had no idea. So many people would ask questions of him about tomatoes, and I would just sit over thinking I had no idea. It's more of it's a tougher thing, but flowers are easy, especially today. People can just go to Albertsons, go to Walmart, go to anywhere. You can go to a nursery, but I don't know if nurseries are open. But just walking, I went to Walmart yesterday, and outside they had all these mixed flower baskets and plants. They had thornless blackberries. They had apple trees. They had so many things. And then outside Home Depot, where else did you see them, Jim? Well, you were talking about them. Albertsons, the grocery store, had beautiful ones too.
Yes.
And so I just encourage you guys to just go get something beautiful. I wouldn't even worry too much if it's an annual perennial. I just try perennial so I don't have to replant the next year. And lots of times I don't. Sometimes if I accidentally pull them up, then we have to replant.
Well, if you use perennials, you keep going year after year after year, and you just build your garden up.
Yes. And then you can add some annuals just for beauty right now. But I encourage you, get out today, get out tomorrow, and go find these beautiful flowers. And then we're going to tell you how to make them even more beautiful. Mine's but I think it cut off sooner. I think it cut off sooner. We need to talk about Easter a little bit, if that's okay.
Sure.
Hey, Marilyn, are you there?
Yes.
So
Can you hear me?
So what are you guys doing for Easter tomorrow?
What are we doing for Easter?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we will watch our church service streamed on the computer in the morning. And then we are actually going to, we always have a huge Easter egg hunt every year for all of our grandkids.
I thought so.
And now we have great grandchildren. Well, we're not doing that this year, obviously, because we can't. And so we are going to go to, only 2 of our kids have young kids still. The others are all grown. So we're going to go to 2 of our kids' house and hide eggs for the kids and then leave.
Ah,
that's nice.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
you just won't get to see it, but are they
great
they'll probably videotape or something where you can see it, right?
They'll take pictures of us, but we
good.
just want them to know. And I keep telling the kids, I keep reminding the kids that, Easter isn't just Easter Sunday. The Easter season, goes on for several weeks in our church. I mean, there's that whole season of Easter. So I said, we can, we can come and celebrate it later.
And I'm thinking last night, laying down, I just found such joy as we were talking about the flowers and how they went with Easter, just the beauty of it, and getting outside and having it be prettier and people getting out, how it's so fitting for Easter to come back out. It's like us coming alive again.
Yes. And flowers do. I mean, they just lift your spirits.
And Easter eggs are flower colored. And I think that's why they're so attractive, because they have all the colors that flowers have. They're just beautiful.
The only thing, I'm going to miss our Easter egg hunt this year, though, because I always hide, we've got so many grandkids that I always hide like close to 200 eggs out there for the grandkids. And they don't find them all. And so for the rest of the summer, as I'm out working the garden, I'll find an Easter egg. And
yes, I know how that goes.
And it just makes me smile inside, because then I have that memory, of them finding the eggs and the ones they left behind.
And I think people need to smile. We were walking around our neighborhood. In our neighborhood, they've actually found a way for everyone to just put eggs in their yard somewhere, where they can be seen, but not real obvious. And so we walked around the neighborhood and there were eggs. One of the fountains had an egg in the little girl's hand. You saw the egg, and there were eggs in the landscaping, and different people. Some had eggs in their windows. People had eggs, just around, and some were big, some were small. And then the ones in the window were paper. And so the kids were to find all the eggs and take pictures, or, not take them, but I think they were like identifying where all the eggs were. And they could walk around the yards, but not to take the eggs. And so and it was such a neat idea. And I thought, that is so, so wonderful. They had the week before done it with flowers or something like that to go around and the kids identify things. And so it gives everybody a chance to get out with their kids and enjoy it, and yet, still be safe and things like that. But, there's so many wonderful things about this season. And I knew you were probably missing it, and I was wondering what you were doing. And so we have about 35 seconds.
What is the Del Walmsley Radio Show?
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom.
Listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show Monday through Friday from 11 until noon.
It takes a whole lot more effort to get something started in your life than it does to keep it moving.
Del Walmsley has moved thousands closer to a great life. The Del Walmsley Radio Show is now on 1160 AM KBDT, Monday through Friday from 11 until noon. Listen and move toward your great life today.
I've got to admit, it's getting better, a little better, all the time.
If you'd like to get better, call Ann right now. 214-810-8255. 214-810-TALK. Now more with Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
We would love to know on Getting Better with Ann Beal. We would love to know what you guys are doing for Easter. Tomorrow is going to be strange because everybody's going to be home instead of being at church. and celebrating Easter that way. And Marilyn, you were telling us that you are going to watch church on TV.
Yes, we're going to watch our service. It will be streamed so we can watch it together. And then we usually, we have the 4 kids and 10 grandkids, and now 3 great-grandchildren. So we have quite a crew. Now, they don't all come for the holidays, but we usually have a big Easter egg hunt for the kids. And we're not going to be doing that this year. And so we are for, we're not doing it for the great-grandkids because they have their own grandmas and grandpas. But for our grandchildren who are not grown yet, we're going to go to their house, and when they're not around, and we're going to hide eggs out in the yard for them and then leave. We'll do our social distancing, but the kids will still know that we've thought of them because, I think it's real challenging. I think about my kids. I have not had trouble getting down because I've made up my mind. Well, I only watch the news for a little bit every day to keep caught up. We tape the news to keep caught up with things, and then I shut off the TV and I'm doing other stuff. A lot of the time I've been spending in my garden, especially since I heard last week you talking about how it builds your immune system.
Yes, it does. It does, being in the soil.
I should be very healthy.
Yeah.
Yes, very healthy.
And
I was just thinking about what a challenge it is for people with kids at home. This is a really challenging time. I'm looking at my kids, and they're having to, deal with what's going on in their homeschooling, and at the same time, they're having to keep their kids' spirits up so they can't, and I'm looking at the fun stuff. I know one of my daughters, she, for one of her homeschooling projects, they've been going out and doing the wildflower project.
Mm-hmm. Now, what is that?
And, in the middle school, they go out and it's not middle school, it's intermediate school. They go out and they can take pictures, or they can clip all the different wildflowers and identify them. And so they've been doing that. And I told them, I said, well, I have a bluebonnet for you. We have a little bluebonnet patch in our yard.
That's wonderful, isn't it? Now, have you ever planted bluebonnets?
Well, I have. That's how
they got there. So they didn't just come out.
That's how they got there.
Yeah.
But the thing is with bluebonnets is I threw them out in a place. We have that burrow out there. And it's where it's always the last place I go and weed, which is probably why the bluebonnets have done good, because you can't spend a lot of time cultivating, and they don't do well with that. So
you have to kind of leave them alone.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they're so beautiful.
But you're talking about spring flowers, and of course it's too late for this now, but I would encourage people, the spring seeds, the plants that reseed themselves. Mike and I, several years ago, went to Wild Seed Farms down near Fredericksburg, where they grow a lot of the seeds to sell, and we bought a little packet of larkspur seeds.
Larkspur. You gave me larkspur.
Larkspur. Did I give you the seeds?
You gave me a bunch of the seeds, yes. And I think because you took them out of your plants.
Yes.
Your actual flowers.
They grow?
Yes, all by the barn. Remember? I don't know if you remember.
Yes,
I planted them all by the barn.
Yes, I do. I do. But those, out of that one little packet of seeds, and what I did was I planted them in several different spots, because you never know with wildflower seeds where they'll do well. And now, years later, I never know when they're going to pop, where they're going to pop up. At this time of year, they are just, I saw one blooming this morning, and they are so pretty.
Now, what color are they?
These are, well, it's funny because they're blue. Some are blue and some are pink. Mm-hmm. And then a couple years ago, I noticed that they were cross-pollinating, because they were They were like a mixture of blue and pink.
Wow, that's cool. I didn't get that.
So those are some of the things that you get when you grow seeds.
Yes.
And those people, if you're asking what kind of things to plant, if you like to cut flowers, you have got to have zinnias, because zinnias are a wonderful cut flower, and they're safe for cats. Oh. My cats had never bothered my flowers until I got this one a year and a half ago, and he's intrigued with my flowers. And so I used to have daffodils sitting on my kitchen table, and I can't put them there anymore because they're toxic to cats.
I did
And
not
so
know that.
now they are. Daffodils are very toxic to cats. So now if I cut a vase of daffodils, I put them in my office and keep the door shut because that way I can enjoy them, but he can't
Hurt
get
himself
into them.
or whatever. Yeah.
Well, and zinnias are not toxic. And, part of that is
No.
learning if you're going to bring it inside or if you have animals. It's funny that you do have this one cat that's different than all your other cats. We have this one dog that we rescued, and he is very different. The things he does in the yard, we were just talking about, okay, we got to do some things in the yard to keep him from doing things because he just does, he digs near the fence that the other dogs didn't do. The other dogs would, when they did that and they learned not to do that, they did that up near the house. So it's just kind of funny how all these animals have their different personalities.
Oh, they do.
Well, so when we talk about doing things for Easter, that's really cool. I know around our neighborhood, that might be why the kids were going around and taking pictures because they had the flowers they were doing last week. And this week it was the eggs. So people all around the neighborhood put eggs out in the yard in different ways and hid eggs. And so some big, some small, some paper. And so things like that you can do. I know for you on your land, it would have been fun for the whole family to come over there because you could hide, I don't know how many eggs. Like you could be 1,000 eggs.
Yes. Yeah. I could hide them. I could hide them all day long and not run out of places. But and of course we always hide them. I always tell the kids because we have to keep it organized. So I always hide them. I tell the kids, you don't have to walk on my flower beds to find them. They're going to be around the edges.
Yeah, around the edges. Well, and some
otherwise I might not have any flowers left.
Yeah, all those kids running around. I think that there are people who are tomorrow Zooming. And Zoom, you can Zoom, go to a meeting, and then everybody can be there. So there's a square video of every person on the screen. And a lot of churches are doing that too. They're Zooming their church service, and all the parishioners get on like a meeting. And
yes, and I think the teachers have done that with their classrooms
and with their meetings, like with the teacher meetings, they all Zoom in and have a meeting. And so being able to get together, or, if your neighbors, if they're all well and, you could, but, it's just really, we encourage you to celebrate Easter tomorrow, to enjoy a service on TV, even if it's Joel Osteen. If you don't have a church, just that there's a bunch of them on there. You could find one starting anywhere from 6 o'clock all the way to 2 o'clock. And we just encourage you to tune in and then go outside and plant some beautiful things in honor of Jesus' new life and resurrection. And for you to have this new, beautiful coming out again and enjoying life. Plus, it does, number one, build your immune system. And we talked about that last week a lot.
I watched your mood rise when Marilyn mentioned Larkspur.
I know, because I think of all those flowers.
You had the biggest grin on your face. And that just tells me, that's what happens when there's something that makes us happy or feel good, our mood just rises and we just feel really, really good. So flowers and gardening can do that for us. It's really a good thing to do.
Yes, and even the flowers on fruit trees, when our trees or even some of our bushes flower, we were when we first got to the neighborhood where we are now, there were these bushes along the driveway, and we got a landscaping person out there, and he was like, don't trim these yet. They're going to be all white with flowers soon. And it was beautiful. And I thought, and then I had somebody else tell us about what are the bushes that we have that had the red berries on them? Nandina. We had a neighbor, and she's got that landscape everywhere for wildlife. She's got a wildlife exemption. And she's got she's got beauty everywhere, plants everywhere. So we asked her.
I've seen her yard.
Is it unbelievable? The wisteria is
beautiful.
Incredible. She just gave us, and this is the one thing I would suggest, she just gave us a bunch of wisteria plants. We had one, and it wasn't flowering. Hers flowered beautifully and all turned purple. They have those purple lilac
and they're large.
clusters.
Gosh, they're probably 8 to 10 feet
And
tall, would you say?
she trimmed them and made them to where they had two sides coming off like grapevines almost the way it did. And it was just beautiful. So she saw that one and told us we need to move it in the sun. So we're going to more into the sun, full sun. And then we are going to plant those all along the fence, and just seeing her, those wisteria flowers. And when we walk, it's like, oh my gosh, look at these. And it just brings you such joy when you see that. But she let us know about the bushes that we have. What are they called again?
Which ones are you talking about?
The one
now?
with the red berries.
It's Nandina.
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 I was going to trim them or try to figure out how to trim them. And she said, those have beautiful red berries and beautiful flowers. If you just wait, leave the tops there. So she told us how to trim them so that they would stay beautiful and still bloom and have the berries. And so part of it is you get these people around you. And if I had known to Google it, but we have a community garden where we are too. And so we get a lot of hints that way. And so it's really, really helpful. But anything like that, when you see flowers outside of any kind, it just it causes your brains to set off endorphins.
Right.
And dopamine and norepinephrine, all those really good chemicals.
Marilyn, I had a question for you real quick. And this has to do with people who are just novices, at the flower gardening thing. And I was thinking, rather than waiting to get started because you don't know what you're doing, would it be good just to pick out some plants that you think are really beautiful, things that you like, at the nursery or at wherever it may be, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, and just start planting? Would that be the way to get started?
Well, I've done that before, Jim. The main thing is that you have to know. I've probably wasted a lot of money on plants that I didn't really know enough about. Like I can remember trying to get I can't remember what the name of them is. Hydrangeas. I always wanted hydrangeas. Well, hydrangeas don't do well here.
Well, guess what? By the lake where we are
them.
Now, isn't it crazy? Because we tried too. We could never get them to grow at the ranch. And now where we are now, they're amazing. But but very different soil.
We do. And of course, my yard is pretty informal. But a lot of the stuff I have in my yard, I will thin and give to my daughter who loves to garden, and her, she lives in Keller on a smaller lot, so her yard's more formal. And so a lot of the stuff I have looks good in just informal, where you have stuff here and there, or putting it in a formal setting. Either way.
Sounds like what I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, you were talking about your neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stress enough to people, gardening is such a neat thing.
Yes.
Most of the plants that I have in my yard, other than my daffodils, because I have a weakness for unusual daffodil bulbs, most of the stuff that I have in my yard has been given to me. People would give me stuff and I would plant it.
Really?
Well, and you also were doing the gardens at your elementary school. You were doing the community garden, right?
Oh, yes, we were.
So
and
people
the kids
knew.
Absolutely loved it.
Yes.
But Jim, you were asking how you know what to plant.
Yes.
A person might browse through a book and look at some things that you like, and then do YouTube videos.
Oh yeah,
because
good idea.
I had never grown elephant ears before, and I didn't know how to plant them, and I also wanted to know how they're kind of expensive, and so I wanted to know how to dig them up in the fall, and so I just go and watch YouTube videos, and there's a wealth of information out there on YouTube videos.
Now, you had mentioned a book to us by Dale Groom, was it?
Well, I'm kind of laughing because I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay.
The book
Yes.
is Dale Groom's Texas Gardening Guide.
Yes.
And it just tells you the plants that do well in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it has vegetables. I think it's all, no, it's not, it isn't anything vegetables. It's all the different bushes and ground covers, and it's excellent. But I'm laughing because I didn't realize this other book that I've used over the years.
What is that
by
book?
The same person.
Oh, what's it called?
It's month by month gardening in Texas.
Oh,
and it's by Dale Groom and Dan Gill.
Okay.
And it's wonderful because you can go through and you can look at your perennials, and it'll tell you every month what you need to be doing to take care of those perennials.
That's what we need right there. That is wonderful, Marilyn.
Those two books are excellent. And like I said, the reason why I like them is because they're written for Texas gardeners.
Thank you. That is great to know when we get back.
Yeah, good.
I cut off before when we get back. All right. Thank you, Marilyn.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Christy's let me know she's got to run downstairs and let someone in. We have codes, so no one can come in the building. So Christy has to run downstairs, my producer.
Yeah,
and
she's
when
the
we have
producer.
a host
She runs the show.
It's like a 14-story building. She doesn't run downstairs. She gets on the elevator. But anyway, yeah, Marilyn, those are some really, really great tips. And I think when people are starting, I think because you have done it for so many years, and I know you've said you've made a lot of mistakes. One of the things, the reason I'm encouraging people to plant now instead of waiting till summer, planting in the summer is not the best time.
No, it's not.
And yet people are
It's
so
not.
motivated to be outside in the summer, but it's not the best time when, plant. I've heard all these tragic stories.
But anything you see right now that's out, they're all warm weather plants, so they should do well in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's or places like that, and you see all these flowers that are out, it seems like if anything that they see that they like, they just need to know if it's a perennial or an annual. And, I think that it's interesting how just in the Dallas Metroplex, like you and I don't live that far from each other. We're about, 19 miles apart. That might sound far to people, but the soil is so different where I live versus where you live.
Close. Well, yeah, you're close to the lake.
Yeah.
You've got that. Yeah.
And so we can't grow things that you can grow, and you can't grow things that we can grow. But
like
we can.
Evening primrose.
Yeah. I miss them so much.
Going.
I love evening. It's one of my most favorite
it's
flowers.
funny that you should mention the evening primrose because when I was teaching and we did our plant unit, we used to dissect the flower.
Uh-huh.
And so the kids could learn the parts of the flower.
Oh, yeah.
And I would always bring in enough evening primrose for all 5 classrooms so that each child could, take that flower apart, and they would look for the stamen and the pistil, and they were doing a hands-on, learning the parts of the flower. Only thing is you had to be careful you didn't have any kids with severe allergies, but I never had a problem with that.
Well, and if you could, when we come back, I want you to let people know how they can get the seeds from their own flowers like you did. That you can seed them, like you can open them up and get the seeds.
Well, and like zinnias, if you buy I did buy a package of zinnias seeds this year because they're called Green Envy. But you can bet they're green. They're all green.
Are they green flowers?
They're green flowers. I'm anxious to see how they look.
Oh, that's cool.
And I bought another package that are cactus ones, and they're supposed to be great big flowers because I like to do cut flowers. I love to bring flowers in the house, especially in the summertime when it gets hot. They just freshen up the house. Mike very seldom brings me flowers. He brings me things like mulch and compost and things like that.
Compost.
and then I always tell him, he'll come home and there'll be a vase of flowers, and I'll say, "Look, God sent me flowers."
Is there anything that you want to share from the? No?
No.
Okay. I think that people, that's the kind of flowers I'm thinking of, are beautiful flowers they could bring in the house, things that are so beautiful, they want to bring them in and put them on their table. So they don't only have the beauty outside, they have the beauty inside. Now, some people won't want to plant out.
I'll be back.
All the time.
You're getting better all the time. Now, back to Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
Welcome back. Christy's just like, oh my gosh, she's trying to give us the right timing, and we keep getting off because we keep getting so into talking with Marilyn. Having such a good time.
Deal, right?
Marilyn, I know we were talking about these green flowers that you just bought to plant. Did you plant them already?
I planted the seeds.
You planted the seeds.
You were asking me about harvesting seeds, and yes, I do harvest seeds.
Yes.
I always harvest my larkspur because I like to give them away to people because I think they're such a beautiful flower. Now, they don't bloom all summer.
No.
So, they're a springtime flower. But for summertime, and they're as old-fashioned as anything, is the old-fashioned zinnias. But you can get such a variety of them. And if you go buy your seeds the first year, then after that, when you deadhead them, you just let the flower heads dry, and you can harvest the seeds, and you'll have them for the next year. I have embarrassed my daughters before by when we're at strange places, deadhead.
That's what you call it. You go and get in the,
well,
yeah.
I deadhead the flowers if we're waiting. One time we were there to vote, and as I was waiting outside, I was pinching the heads. I wasn't hurting anything because they need to be deadheaded because they bloom better if you deadhead them.
Right.
And these were the little dwarf zinnias that are beautiful. A lot of people and they do well because they don't need a lot of water, and they like the Texas heat.
So see, you like the
miniatures.
Yeah,
I do. So if I see them somewhere and they need to be deadheaded, I'll just start pinching the heads off and stick them in my pocket and bring them home and plant them.
So that's if they've already died. They're kind of dry, right? They're already kind of
yes. They've got. I wouldn't damage.
So you actually
anything
just open them up after and you can see the seeds in there, and they just kind of fall apart, but the seeds come out, right?
Right. On zinnias, they just shred.
And you've given me lots of seeds that way, and they are wonderful that way. So you don't have to go buy them. And I don't blame you if you see a beautiful flower. Now, I know for you like the flowers that you can bring in because you like to cut flowers and bring them in the house.
Right.
So what is the best flower for that? What are some of the flowers that because that's where you kind of thrive?
Well,
when you plant them.
Lately, I have been doing, and I know this isn't the time to be planting bulbs, but in the fall, I would really, especially Jim, like you said, your friend who's starting a garden, I would definitely have her find a spot where she can put in some bulbs and you hate to even buy them because find a friend who is thinning. Mm-hmm. I have like 8 different colors of iris, and wow. They need to be thinned, and I can't keep planting them because I'm running out of places. Plus, there's only so much time in a day to garden. So I give them away, Mm-hmm.
But you just bought some flowers though. It was a cactus, right? With the big giant flower.
I bought some flower seeds.
Oh, those are seeds too.
These are zinnias, and they're called cactus flower, and I planted them probably about a week ago, and I noticed they're up out in my garden.
Oh, it's not a cactus when you told me that. Oh, it's a zinnia.
I don't know why they're called a cactus flower zinnia, but they get large blooms on them. Oh. And, of course, I'll harvest the seeds from those.
So how long will it take those to come in? Since you got the seeds and you plant the seeds, how long will it take?
Well, they'll probably be blooming by next month, and they'll bloom up until fall.
That's nice.
I love the hot weather.
We got to try those.
Zinnias are great. Yeah. If people are looking for stuff to plant now that will bloom into the fall, I would say zinnias, marigolds. I always swear by purple coneflowers because they come back.
You love those. Yeah, Jim loves those.
But I'm thinking annuals. Periwinkles are great for hot spots, and moss rose.
Moss rose.
I love moss rose.
Those are beautiful little miniature flowers. I love those.
But they like the heat. Mm-hmm. And if I was just starting out here, and
now we only have 1 minute, not even a whole minute.
New today. What I would put a little bit of lavender in.
Oh, I love lavender. What a great idea.
Lavender likes the hot spot, and it doesn't need a lot of water, and it's beautiful, and it smells great.
And I do have to correct when I said there's no evening primrose over by us. Some people in our neighborhood do have it growing in. I just know I can't transplant it, that maybe I'm going to try seeds. But Marilyn, thank you so much for being here today. And we just want to encourage you to get outside, plant some beautiful flowers today to celebrate resurrection and new life. If you can't today, do it tomorrow in celebration of Easter. And if you can't go out and do it, bring some plants inside. Go buy some plants for inside with beautiful flowers. And, you know, if you can't get to your kids or family, do it on video. Take pictures, send to them, anything on email. Just get to them if you can on Zoom or Skype. We just encourage you, and have a great week.